Good day. So today I thought I'd fix my hair. Thought I'd fix my hair. No. I thought I would talk about the placement. This is a reading. I know it's going to be kind of everywhere. Sorry if it's making you dizzy. um, this reading is for Virgo, dating November 13, 2025. So in about 3 days. Let's see. So the moon will be conjunct Ganymede. For those who know what his story is about, he is the cupbearer for Zeus. So he is the one who basically was abducted by Zeus to be his little boy toy. As you probably know, not all the gods were heterosexual. In fact, a lot of them were kind of bisexual. That was a kind of a theme. I don't know if you want to call it a theme or anything, but anyways. I was studying a while ago. Okay, there you go. Let's see here. Yeah, I want to go to the park. Okay, so Ganymede represents the youthfulness in us, where we want to regain our youth. He's all about youthful beauty, attraction, the go-go boys kind of thing, twinks. Okay, that's kind of Ganymede. He's also kind of the whole. If you meet people who you're in a relationship with that are, someone might say, "Oh, he's old enough to be my father." That's kind of what's happening as well. So he's also about, because he's also about youthful beauty, and this is in Virgo. He's all about kind of health-related things, beauty products, cosmetics, youth, anything to do with youth, being youthful, living youthfully. It's very much a Virgo thing as well. Very curious about information, curious about facts, science, research, investigating, sort of, not that deep, just enough. Sense of purity, sense of innocence as well. That's very tied to Virgo. Okay. Uh, let's see. Because it's tied to the moon, it's kind of like things that are not spoken of, things that are, I guess you can say, things that are kind of hidden, things that we don't really talk about. And because of the polarity that's happening right now between this collective South Node in Virgo to collective North Node in Pisces, we're kind of looking towards going deep into the details of living, of life itself. I'm going to go run this way. And kind of figuring out what those details are, but not to be too obsessed or hooked into the details. A lot of stuff we have to let go. We have to learn to trust in the process of, what was this? It's that Piscean energy of live and let go, but at the same time, because of the polarity, we have to consider that sometimes we have to also ground ourselves in our beliefs. So, yes, using tools that we, doing the little things. That's Virgo. It's about little things. So, tying this to Ganymede, it's about kind of looking at the little things that give us joy, that give us some sort of sense of trust and faith in the process. Being in the moment, trusting that it's like not always the way it's going to be or the way we want it to be. We're talking about the flow between earth and water here. So although these are technically mutable signs, astrologically speaking, um, it means that the flexibility and the adaptability stems from, do we calculate every single thing? Do we nitpick? Do we, you know, and also do we watch out for the shadow of idealism and perfectionism, right? Do we go in that direction? Right? So um, there's a reason Ganymede is here, is because it's trying to show us where um, do we go into this mode of, do I want things to be the way they were, basically, right? So Ganymede is showing us like, do we go back to what was, or do we just realize that it's like, oh, well, this body is going into this specific age, it's aging, and that's totally fine, right? But you can't get to the totally fine unless you go into the details of that as well, but not too much, just enough to be like, oh, well, this is part of aging, this is part of life, everything ages. You know, I was taking my cold shower today, and I was realizing how having this Plutonian journey, that when it comes to death, you kind of wonder about how, you know, when something is dying, something is in its last decade or years, we see it as if it's almost like it's losing its purpose, it's losing its touch, it's losing its, you know, this is why many companies still, I don't know about today, but many companies have gone towards the whole, you know, they look for youthful things, you know, as the when Pluto was going in from Saturn to Aquarius, what's happening was, um, it's going into youthfulness. It doesn't necessarily mean that we need to look into youthfulness itself, but, you know, the dying process means that there's opportunity at the end of the road. There's a reason why Pluto resonates a lot with the sign of Scorpio, because when Scorpio transitions into the adaptability, archetypal qualities of Sagittarius, what happens is that symbolizes our ability to let go of power or control, so that it becomes more of an opportunity to go beyond what we believed was. Trust, knowing what was, knowing what is, knowing what will be, and the power that we usually seek, and that stems from, you know, the ego. If it's unhealthy, it latches on to being in control, right? This is kind of almost the challenging dichotomy between the Leo archetypal energy to Scorpio, which is like power, right? But once we've let go of that and goes back into the fire sign, each restarts again. Fire is a sign of ignition, starting again, initiative, spark, those kind of things. So it's that whole, what are we going in for besides what we think we're going in for, if that makes sense. It's like we get too worried about, we still latch onto like, I don't know what's beyond this, right? It's fine. I think you have to embrace death at a literal sense too. You know, any moment you could die, any moment. And so you give it your best. And this is why, I mean, you learn from the Scorpio archetypal energy, the reason why they're so intense and so quiet is because they understand, there's a tendency to understand taking risks, because we know that we don't know what's going to happen the next second. We don't know. But at the same time, we do have control over it in a way that is when we're trusting in the moment. So it's weird, right? So, anyways, I think that's it. So, yeah, cool. Wonderful stuff. Thank you for watching. See you guys later. Have a good day. Bye. Happy optimism.